Hi, I'm Doug Young, and in this video we're going to demonstrate the examples from the chapter Introduction to Ragtime Guitar from Ragtime Guitar Essentials. So let's start with example 1, which is going to get you started with the fundamental techniques of playing ragtime, and eventually we'll build into playing a full tune. The basics of ragtime are a steady bass. And to start with, let's play it just on one string. This is example 1, played on the open 5th string. You just want to get used to being able to play that bass, maybe even while you're talking, so that it's comfortable. The next step is example 2, which is to alternate the bass between 2 strings. And in this case, we're just going to stay with the open strings. Example 2 is between the 5th and the 3rd strings. And again, you want to keep going until that's an automatic process, so you don't even have to think about having your thumb just going back and forth. So for the next step, let's look at example 3. We're going to get our fretting hand involved. I'm going to fret finger a C chord. And we can do it a couple ways. I'm going to fret it with just 3 fingers, play, and then move my ring finger over to the 6th string to play the bass note. That's example 3. Now you could fret a 4-finger C chord like this, but that's not going to give you any fingers left to pick out a melody, which we're going to do in a minute. So you want to get used to being able to move your finger back and forth. Example 4 is a melody, and you might want to isolate this as we do in example 4. Just play the melody by itself. Again, it's based around a C chord. You only need the 1st finger, but we'll finger the whole chord. And we're just going to play. You use whatever fingers are convenient. Then the next trick is to put those together. We'll play them together. Let me play it really slow to start with. We're going to pinch the bass note, and then the E string on the upbeat, pinch 2nd and 4th, pinch 6th and 1st. That's it. Now once you start putting these together and playing it up to speed, you want to get a little bit of style into it, and one thing that helps is to mute the bass just a little bit. So that it has a little more of a percussive feel. It's going to make it feel like it's driving a little more, and it's going to make your melody stand out a little better. That's example 5. So there are other things that we can do with that. In example 6, we're simply going to move that C shape up to the 3rd fret, 3rd position, and we'll play a similar pattern. So the trick with all of this is to keep that thumb moving, steady on the beat, and be able to play the melody both on the beat and on the upbeat in between the notes. So there are other tools that you can have for working with ragtime. One of them is to have the bass move a little bit. So in example 7, we're going to play. Bass just walks down. Example 8 shows another typical pattern, another tool that might show up in some ragtime things, and that is both the bass and the melody moving together. Here's example 8. So you notice that sometimes the bass and treble move in the same direction. Other times the melody and the bass move in opposite directions. Let's take a look at example 9. The main point of example 9 is to get used to playing with adding accents on upbeats. That's kind of where the feel comes from, a lot of the feel of ragtime. Let me play it slowly. This is example 9. And I emphasized, I exaggerated the fourth note, which is on the upbeat. If we play that just a little bit faster, muting the bass, accenting that. So next, let's take a look at Peaceful Feeling Rag by Jerry Snyder, a short but complete ragtime piece where we'll put all these pieces together into something that you can play as a performance. So that's Jerry Snyder's Peaceful Feeling Rag. Let's just take a look at a couple of the high spots of it, and then I'll play it through at a slower speed for you. First off, I would finger this at the beginning with a partial F chord. I would bar across the top 4 strings and finger an F, and then put my little finger down on the G string, and then play pinch. And then lift your second finger up and your 4th finger. So that's a little tricky to get used to. To an A. And a lot of this has to do with playing it with a good feel. I'm cutting off the note in measure 4, the first measure. Or accenting it. So that feels like a pickup into the beginning of the verse. The verse starts in measure 5. We already looked at that as one of the examples. You want to emphasize the upbeat. And then we slide up to the D. Now Jerry plays this 2 ways. The D7th, we can alternate the bass back and forth, or we can, so it's done both ways here in this example, and you can pick, you don't have to do the same way. You could do it whichever way feels more comfortable to you. Let's see what else is interesting here. Another little pickup run into the B section. And this is probably the most challenging little lick of this piece. We're playing an F, but it moves around a little bit. So I would start by playing the 5th string. This is measure 14. So play, and then immediately get into an F shape like we did at the beginning. And then the rest of it is fairly straightforward. The last little run, and again, I would play that a little percussively. And there, I'm doing a combination of damping the bass string and cutting the note off with my picking hand. And then back into the melody. And in the melody in section 5, again, we want to mute the bass notes, I think, to make it really sound percussive, but the upper notes can ring. Let those ring out so that the melody stands out against the bass. So with that, I'll play this through at a slower speed for you to play along with.